With 100M on the line, Billionaire underestimates Maid's daughter, her incredible genius revealed. Emily stood frozen in the opulence of the Kensington mansion, where marble floors gleamed under the golden California sun. The air was thick with dreams, but not her dreams, the dreams of the wealthy who lived in castles built from laughter and privilege. Her fingers brushed against a pristine photo frame, a snapshot of a life so far removed from her own. George Kensington's booming laughter echoed through the grand living room, each chuckle piercing her heart like shards of glass. She couldn't help but overhear his dismissive remarks about the very people who worked tirelessly to keep his world turning. "These people are like ants," he scoffed, leaning back in his leather chair, the sheer arrogance oozing from him. "They serve me, yet they'll never amount to anything." Emily's chest tightened, her breath catching as she felt the weight of his words, physically pushing her down. She was a Maid's daughter, but that didn't mean she deserved to be seen as less. A tear crept into her eye, blurring the image of the life she wanted, the future she so desperately dreamed of. But then something flickered inside her, a spark of defiance ignited by indignation. Could she show him that brilliance isn't just found in wealth? That ingenuity thrives in unexpected places? That was the moment the ember of ambition turned into a blaze. When Kensington announced the 100 million competition, Emily felt her heart race. It was her chance, her opportunity to rise against the disdain, to shout from the depths of her being that she was worth something too. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you could drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Emily mapped out her ideas with feverish passion, she discovered community among her peers at the local center. They were dreamers like her, struggling against the tide of doubt. Conversations cut through her loneliness, each story a reminder that determination can bridge the chasms of socioeconomic divides. Yet, lingering in the shadows was the pressure of her mother's sacrifices, her hopes stitched together with weary threads. But then, disaster. A false wind sent ripples through the competition, exposing her miscalculated ambition to the world. Doubt flooded her mind like a tidal wave, and she could feel her identity slipping away. In that moment of despair, she turned to Maria, her mother, whose eyes held galaxies of love and strength. "Remember, Ija," Maria whispered, holding her tight. "You have the heart of a lion. Do not let their words dim your spirit." With the grand finale looming, Emily felt the heat of battle searing her resolve. Would she face Kensington, confront the very man whose cruelty had thrust her into this fierce pursuit? As the tension stretched taut, something held her back, not fear, but the understanding that she wasn't just competing for herself. She was fighting for every dreamer who had ever been underestimated. The stakes were high, and with each passing moment, Emily's heart raced with one question. Could she redefine what success truly meant in a world that held wealth above all else? The answer hovered just beyond her reach, like a dream waiting to be seized. The day of the grand finale arrived like a storm gathering strength, the air electric with anticipation. Emily stood backstage, clutching her notes, her hands trembling. Were those butterflies in her stomach or tiny dragons ready to roar? A quick breath steadied her racing heart. Today was not just the culmination of her work. It was the stage on which to reveal the truth of who she was. Her peers crowded around her, each one preparing to unveil their projects, ideas igniting from the ashes of disbelief. She caught the gaze of Marco, a fellow contestant who had become her friend throughout the journey. He offered a nod of encouragement, silently assuring her that she was not alone. Feeling bolstered, she took a deep breath, inhaling the mixture of fear and resolve that filled the air. When the curtain lifted, the opulence of the room was breathtaking. Golden chandeliers cast an almost celestial glow, emphasizing the stark contrast between the competitors and the audience of the elite. It was intimidating, but deep down, Emily felt a flicker of determination rise within her. She wasn't just competing for herself. She was there for every working-class hero who had ever been made to feel insignificant. The host called the first contestant to the stage, and the crowd erupted into applause. Emily watched each presentation unfold, feeling a mixture of admiration and anxiety. Each project was impressive, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of being out of place. The final countdown loomed closer. It was her turn. When her name echoed in the hall, Emily stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. A rush of adrenaline surged through her as she faced the audience. "I'm Emily," she began, her voice shaking slightly. "And my project isn't just about winning a prize. It's about creating access for those who usually don't get a chance." With every word she spoke, she poured her heart into her pitch, revealing how her concept could break down barriers in education for underserved communities. The room listened, rapt and attentive. Those moments when the audience nodded and understanding felt like validation. She could see George Kensington peering at her from the front row, his expression unreadable, and it fueled her passion even more. As she wrapped up her presentation, Emily felt lighter, as if the weight of her insecurities had begun to lift. A sincere applause erupted, and for a moment, she basked in the warmth of acceptance. But when the votes were announced, the world around her shifted. Kensington's voice thundered through the hall. "And the winner of the 100 million project prize is Jordan Steele." The name hung in the air like a cloud, darkening her hope. Jordan, a polished innovator, received cheers and accolades while Emily's heart sank. She felt like a crumpled piece of paper, tossed aside and forgotten. The momentum of her dreams seemed to be fading, but then she locked eyes with her mother in the audience. Maria's unwavering support brought tears to Emily's eyes. This wasn't just about winning. It was about the impact she had already made by daring to dream in a world that wanted her silence. As the crowd dispersed, Emily stepped into a world of uncertainty, but something inside that tiny flicker of defiance began to glow once more. Could she turn the defeat into a fuel to push even harder? Was her journey just beginning? The applause from the audience still echoed in her heart, but now it was intertwined with a burning question. What would she do next to prove that every dreamer deserved a chance? Emily lingered in the corridor, the applause fading to whispers as she stepped away from the stage. Her heart felt heavy, a thick stone pressing against her chest. Jordan's victory echoed harshly in her mind, a stubborn reminder that dreams weren't always enough. She took a moment, leaning against the cool wall, to catch her breath. Then came a tap on her shoulder. It was Marco, concern etched across his face. "Hey, you did amazing out there," he said softly. "I mean it. Your project mattered. It touched people. I thought I could make a difference, you know?" Emily replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But what is the point if no one is listening?" Marco nodded, then stepped closer. "People heard you. They felt your passion. Winning isn't everything. It's about creating ripples. Trust me. Look at how many lives you've already inspired." Tears gathered in Emily's eyes. She had fought so hard to get to this moment, yet here she was, contemplating defeat. But Marco's words struck a chord deep inside her, stirring that tiny spark of defiance within her once more. Maybe it wasn't about one moment, one contest, one triumph. Maybe it was about the journey, the fight to make her dreams a reality. "Let us go get some ice cream," Marco suggested, trying to lighten the moment. "You know, drown your sorrows in chocolate fudge." Emily chuckled, wiping her eyes. "Sounds like a plan." As they walked through the bustling venue, her mind danced from one thought to another. The applause hadn't been for nothing. Each nod of understanding had meant that she had sparked something in someone. Perhaps this was the first step in a much larger journey. Once they reached the ice cream parlor, it felt like a refuge from the world outside. Laughter and chatter flowed around them, a bubble of lightness in Emily's heart. She let herself indulge in the moment, allowing the sweet flavor to wash away some of the bitterness of the night. Have you thought about what's next? Marco asked as he licked his cone, a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. Emily shrugged, the question swirling in her mind like the melting ice cream. I don't know. I want to keep pushing this idea forward. But how? Did you see George Kensington in the front? If anyone can help you, it's him, Marco replied. You should reach out. The mention of Kensington sent a shiver down her spine. He was a titan in the philanthropic world, but he was also intimidating. What do you want with me? Just a maid's daughter with a far-fetched dream? Don't limit yourself, Am. You got a vision. Isn't that what he advocates for? Everyone deserves a voice. As they walked back towards the venue for the remaining receptions, Emily's heart raced again, this time fueled by determination. Maybe it was time to take a leap, to handle the rejection of the evening like a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. She would reach out to Kensington. She could bring her idea to life, prove that barriers could be broken, and impact lives. But as she glanced toward the crowd once more, she noticed Jordan, basking in his glory, surrounded by admirers and accolades. A simmering sense of doubt crept back in, and she hesitated for a moment. Was she ready to shake the foundations of her reality? Could one conversation spark an avalanche? Let us do this, she whispered under her breath as she took a deep breath. But would she find the courage to approach George Kensington? Would he see in her what others dismissed? The mingling throngs around her seemed to blur as Emily's focus narrowed just on George Kensington. There he was, still surrounded by the brilliant and the famous, his trademark crinkled smile lighting up the room. She could see the effortless sway of his conversation, the way people leaned in, eager to catch his every word. She imagined him shaking his head dismissively if she dared approach him. A voice inside her whispered doubts, but she couldn't shake the flicker of hope sparking in her chest. Are you okay? Marco broke her reverie, his voice gentle but probing. I think I'm going to go over there. Emily nodded towards Kensington, though her heart pounded heavily in her ears. Just be yourself. Who knows? Maybe he needs to hear your story. Marco grinned, filling her with a strange sense of courage. As they approached, the crowd parted like waves, revealing George Kensington in a momentary pause from the chatter. Emily's palms felt clammy against her sides. What would she even say? Her mind raced like the fast-paced moments of a movie montage. This was not just a man to impress. He was a literal giant in the world she longed to impact. Mr. Kensington? She called out, her voice wavering slightly. He turned, those deep-set eyes meeting hers. For a brief moment, time stood still. The noise faded, and it felt just like the two of them in that crowded space, his gaze open and curious. Yes, he smiled kindly, but Emily could feel her nerves surfacing, making her voice almost shy. I'm Emily. I presented tonight, she began, but the words stumbled out. She took a breath, steadying herself. I want to create a program for youth education, something that empowers kids with less privilege through the arts. He regarded her intently, as if weighing her words like delicate feathers. I heard your speech, he said finally. It was powerful. You have a keen understanding of what it means to inspire. With that, a glimmer of hope surged. Maybe he was interested. Maybe he would help her. Thank you. I really believe that by giving kids the tools to express themselves, we can change lives. Emily felt the words flowing out, as if they weren't just coming from her mind, but bursting from her heart. Kensington tilted his head, curiosity still lighting his face. What's your plan? I haven't figured it all out yet, but I know I want to build a network of resources and mentors who can guide these kids. It's a big dream, but I want to start small and grow it, and I'm willing to put in the work. He nodded, his expression thoughtful. Well, you're not the first person to have radical ideas. But passion is crucial, and I see that you have it. Emily's heart raced. Did he really mean it? The sincerity in his tone was palpable. Let's have a meeting. I'd like to hear more about your vision. Really? The glimmer of disbelief in her voice surprised even her. You would do that? Of course. If you're committed, I'll help you take this further. But understand, it takes more than passion. There is strategy involved too. Absolutely. I promise, I'm ready. Emily felt like she might burst from excitement as Kensington handed her his business card. Marco's eyes widened, a silent cheer echoing between them. But just as hope swirled brighter than ever, Emily felt a pang of anxiety grip her. What if this was just another illusion, another way of hoping too much? Could she really keep up with the grand world he inhabited? She readied herself to battle the anxieties lurking at the back of her mind, determined to push through. Now the real challenge begins, she murmured to herself as she glanced back at Kensington, who was already moving to greet another admirer. Could she transform this moment into something more? What if her vision still crumbled in the pressure of reality? Marco nudged her gently. You did it. This is just the beginning. But the echo of doubt shadows her resolve. Was this truly the breakthrough she had been longing for, or just another fleeting moment of hope? The crowd began to swirl again. As she stepped back, her heart still racing, she knew one thing for certain: the next conversation would be crucial. Would she have what it took to truly inspire the billionaire? Emily stood there, the business card clutched tightly in her hand, still buzzing from the encounter. Marco's excitement filled her like a hot air balloon ready to lift off, but beneath that, anxiety simmered. What came next? Let us get out of here, Marco suggested, his voice pulling her back to the present. You've got a lot to think about. Yeah, sure, she replied, her mind racing. She needed to process everything. The crowd closed in around them again, each face a blur of glittering jewelry and laughter. Marco kept talking, but Emily barely heard him. All she could think about was the meeting with Kensington and the weight of expectations that came with it. As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, a wave of relief washed over her. The noise of the gala faded behind her, and for a moment, she felt like she could breathe again. The streetlights cast a warm glow, and the world around her shifted from chaos to calm. Are you all right? Marco asked, his brow furrowing. The concern in his voice cut through her fog. Honestly, I'm scared. She looked up at him, her insecurities bubbling to the surface. What if I can't deliver? What if my ideas are just dumb? Emily, he said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You've spent years dreaming about this, working hard. You're not dumb. You're incredibly smart. You just got to trust that vision of yours. He was right. But trusting herself felt like diving into icy waters, heart racing at the thought. She took a deep breath, fighting back self-doubt. Okay, but I need a plan. They walked down the tree-lined street, the moon illuminating their path. Emily felt a newfound urgency to prepare. She envisioned the meeting, laying out her ideas methodically. She would need to gather resources, outline her vision in a way that would make it palpable for someone like Kensington. Help me brainstorm, she said suddenly. What would I need to show him? Marco grinned. Let us start with your vision. You've got passion, but you need a strategy. Break it down. Who are your target kids? What types of arts? And how will you fund it? Each question sparked another idea in Emily. The more they spoke, the more excited she became, her earlier panic dissipating with each word. She found herself jotted down notes on her phone, mapping out her thoughts and plans. Spinning full circle, she realized she had what it took to make this work. She could see the possibilities illuminated before her like stars in the night sky. Here's the kicker, Marco said, nudging her gently. Just remember, it's okay to ask for help. Kensington may be a big shot, but he's just a person too. He might have insights that could change everything for you, right? A mentor, she mused, envisioning the conversation with him differently now. It wasn't just about impressing him. It could be a collaborative effort. I want this to be more than a pitch. I want to share a vision we can build together. They returned to her apartment, where Emily felt the thrill of possibility dancing through her. She poured herself a glass of water, looking at her reflection. This was just the beginning, she reminded herself. Out there in that world of glitz and glamour, chances awaited. But with each step, the stakes felt higher. Would she have what it took to pivot her dreams into reality? In that moment, feelings of hope collided with the weight of uncertainty. As she opened her laptop and began organizing her notes, Her heart raced at the impending challenge ahead. Just then, a message notification popped up that IT was from Kensington. Looking forward to our meeting. Let us aim to dive deep into details. I'm intrigued. Her pulse quickened. The door was opening, but would she be able to walk through it? With her heart pounding, she whispered to herself, "This is my shot." But was she truly ready for the giant leap that lay ahead? Emily sat at her kitchen table, her laptop glowing in the dim light. The message from Kensington still hung in the air, heavy with promise. She felt a mixture of anticipation and panic. Each word echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. Dive deep, intrigued. Did he really mean it? Okay, Emily, she muttered to herself, trying to summon the confidence that had slipped through her fingers. Time to get serious. She opened a fresh document, and as her fingers danced across the keyboard, she felt a sense of purpose start to form. She began with her vision, a community art program aimed at inspiring kids through creativity. The details flowed. After-school workshops, collaborative projects with local artists, funding through grants and partnerships. Every idea fueled her growing excitement. But with every letter typed, a voice crept in, the same one that whispered doubts earlier. What if Kensington didn't see the value? The hours faded away as she worked feverishly, losing herself in the possibilities. She stopped only to review her notes, to seek clarity on her objectives, to push against the self-imposed barriers. But in those quiet moments, when she leaned back against her chair, doubt crashed against her like an unexpected wave. Was she reaching too high? Her phone buzzed, shattering her concentration. It was Marco. "How is the prep going?" "Harder than I thought," Emily replied, hesitantly. "What if I don't know enough?" "Stop right there." Marco's enthusiastic reply shot back. "You got this. Think about what you can bring to Kensington, not just what you think he wants to hear. Your passion is your edge. No one knows the kids and their needs like you do." His words were like a balm for her frayed nerves. "You're right. I need to focus on the impact I want to make," she said, her voice gaining strength. The clock ticked away, and she found herself putting together the outline of her pitch, sectioning it off into parts: vision, strategy, funding sources. She jotted down statistics about the decline of arts programs in schools, potential benefits of creative expression for at-risk youth, and even success stories from similar initiatives across the country. Each entry felt like a building block toward a fortress of her dreams. Suddenly, Emily's phone rang, jolting her from a reverie. It was her mom. After a quick greeting and some small talk, her mother's voice softened. "Honey, I know you're nervous about this meeting, but remember who you are. You've always believed in yourself when no one else did. Trust that spark in you." Tears pricked Emily's eyes, a wave of gratitude sweeping over her. "Thanks, Mom. I'll do my best." As she hung up, a fire ignited within her. Emily took a deep breath, letting the warmth spread through her. She wasn't just preparing for a big meeting. She was on the cusp of something extraordinary. Emboldened, she polished each part of her presentation, envisioning Kensington nodding in approval as she spoke. But just as she began to consider what would happen if he loved her ideas, her phone chimed again. An alert from her calendar reminded her of the upcoming meeting. That's tomorrow. Panic rushed in. What if everything isn't perfect? With the looming prospect of failure hanging over her, she pushed it aside. This wasn't about perfection. It was about connection, about sharing a vision that mattered. As dawn tiptoed in through her window, casting soft light across her scattered notes and empty coffee mugs, Emily felt a rush of determination. This was her chance to stand up and say, "I matter." As she closed her laptop, the shadows of doubt flickering but not extinguishing, a fierce resolve settled in her heart. With the meeting less than 12 hours away, she whispered, half to herself, half to the universe, "I won back down." However, just as she turned to put her notes away, another message dinged on her phone. A text from Kensington. "I've been thinking, let us have a casual chat before the meeting. I want to understand your vision better." Each word was a layer of pressure, and a sense of wonder creeped in. What would this mean for her? Why was he reaching out? Was she truly ready for this even bigger curveball that was about to change everything? Emily's heart raced as she stared at the screen, her hands once again poised over the keyboard. But this time, uncertainty held her hostage. Kensington wanted to chat? Before the meeting? Her mind spun as she tried to process this new development. Was this a good sign or a bad one? Did anyone know her ideas or give her a chance to back out gracefully? She glanced at the time and instinctively felt for her phone in her pocket. It felt like the world was closing in. Would he be disappointed in her vision? The thought threatened to deflate her newfound courage. Stop it, she murmured to herself. Kensington wouldn't reach out if he didn't see something promising. Taking a deep breath, she decided to seize the moment. She texted back, "That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. When would work for you?" Within minutes, a reply buzzed back. "How about this afternoon? Say 3 p.m.? Emily's throat felt tight. "Perfect," she responded, then set her phone down and rubbed her temples. As much as she felt the weight of what was coming, she also felt the stirrings of excitement she and T allowed herself to entertain fully until now. The hours ticked closer to 3 p.m. as she found herself standing in front of the bathroom mirror, splashing water on her face. She combed through her hair and slapped on a bit of makeup, not to disguise herself, but to armor up. Each stroke of mascara felt like a battle against her own doubts and fears. Then she clasped her hands together, saying again, "I matter. This vision matters." As she arrived at the cafe where they agreed to meet, her stomach twisted in knots. The ambience buzzed with conversation and laughter, but in her mind, all she could hear was a symphony of doubt. She selected a table in the corner, hoping for a quiet atmosphere. Moments later, Kensington strolled in, effortlessly charismatic in a crisp navy suit. His eyes searched the room before landing on her, a smile breaking across his face that instantly made her feel a bit lighter. "Emily, I'm glad we could fit in some time together," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thanks for reaching out," Emily replied, nervously shifting the cup of coffee that had grown lukewarm in front of her. They made small-talk questions about the weather, something about a conference he attended recently, but Emily could tell his mind was already racing ahead. "Okay, let us dive into it," Kensington said, leaning slightly forward, his interest piqued. "What do you envision for the kids?" Taking a deep breath, Emily began to unfold her ideas, allowing her passion for the project to spill out. She spoke animatedly about the importance of creativity, emphasizing how art could provide an outlet for kids who often felt voiceless. She explained the collaborative projects and the partnerships, how they could bring warmth and color to lives that otherwise felt gray. As she spoke, she caught glimpses of Kensington's reactions, his eyebrows lifting, a nod here and there, and even a thoughtful pause. It felt good. For the first time, she wasn't just telling him about a project. She was sharing a piece of her heart. But just as her momentum was building, he interjected, "This is all exceptional, Emily. But I wonder what's the real reason behind this initiative for you. It feels personal." Caught off guard, her breath hitched. "It is personal," she admitted, her vulnerability creeping in like a tide. "I grew up in a community where art was stripped away from schools. I know what it feels like to want to create, but be left without the means or support." His expression softened, and Emily felt exposed yet empowered. Then he leaned back, considering her words more gravely. "You're offering more than just art. You're creating hope. That's powerful." The warmth of his acknowledgement washed over her, but she realized there was so much riding on this moment. She had to impress him further, to convince him this wasn't just her dream, but an essential step for the community. Yet as she wrestled with the weight of her aspirations, another question formed in the back of her mind. What if this conversation took an unexpected turn? What if he didn't just want to support her idea, but had an entirely different outcome planned? Emily's heart raced harder, knowing the stakes had just escalated dramatically. "Let us take this to the next level," Kensington said, a spark of intrigue in his eyes. "I think we can make this even bigger than you imagined." What did that mean for her, for the kids she wanted to help? Would they be able to achieve the impossible together? Or was this just the beginning of new challenges? As the shadows of the cafe enveloped them, Emily felt a surge of anticipation and fear for what was coming next. Emily's pulse thundered in her ears. Kensington's words hung in the air, electric and thrilling. She leaned forward, trying to decipher his intent. "What exactly did you have in mind?" she asked, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. "Imagine this," he began, eyes dancing with ambition. "What if we turned your vision into an entire curriculum? A program that could be implemented not just locally, but on a national scale? I'm talking funding, partnerships with schools, and even corporate sponsorships. We could make art education a fundamental part of kids' lives again." Emily's breath caught. A curriculum? Her mind raced. "Are you saying you want to fund this?" The enormity of his suggestion crashed over her like a tidal wave. "Absolutely," he replied, unflinching. "But bear with me. This isn't just about money. We need a solid plan to show that it's sustainable, impactful. We'll need data, outcomes, the works. A powerhouse initiative." She gripped the table, her knuckles whitening. "That's a lot to expect," she stammered. "I've never led something on that scale. It feels overwhelming, daunting." Kensington leaned closer, his gaze anchoring her. "I believe in your vision, Emily. You're the heart of this. I can provide the resources, but I need you to guide this project with your insight. This is our chance to change lives. Will you be part of it?" The weight of his offer pulsed through her. It was everything she had dreamed of, but that dream came tinged with fear. Could she really step up? Could she take on such a monumental task? What if she failed? "I need time to think," she said softly, though uncertainty gnawed at her. "Take all the time you need," he replied, his voice calming. "But consider the impact we could have together. You have a gift, Emily, and it's too important to hide away. Whatever happened in your past, it doesn't define you now." His words settled into her like a comforting balm. She understood that he wasn't just talking about funding. He was inviting her to find her place as a leader. Still, shadows of doubt flickered at the edges of her thoughts. "What if I can't handle the pressure?" she said, her voice a whisper. "Then we'll face it together," he said firmly. "I'll support you, guide you, but you have to be willing to trust yourself. This is a partnership built on faith. I believe our journey could inspire countless others." As he spoke, a quiet determination swelled inside her. She thought of the kids, their potential, their dreams. If they could harness their creativity, maybe they could break free from their limitations, just as she was trying to do. "Okay," she finally said, her voice stronger now. "I'm in, but I'll need help with the planning and the logistics. I can't do this all on my own." Kensington smiled, a genuine warmth radiating from his expression. "Of course. I'll assemble a team, resources, strategists, whatever you need. We'll make this vision not just a dream, but a reality." They spent the next hour discussing the framework, the key players they would need, and the first steps toward realizing this dream. Ideas flowed between them, bouncing off like vibrant colors splashed across a canvas. Emily's heart dared to hope, but soon, as the sun dipped lower outside the cafe, their talk shifted to numbers and averages, budgets and projections. A familiar unease churned within her. "Are you really sure?" she finally blurted out, the vulnerability creeping back in. "I mean, this is a huge risk for you. What if it doesn't work?" Kensington paused, his brow furrowing. "What's the alternative, Emily? We keep doing the same thing and watch kids slip away? Or we take that leap of faith to make a difference?" His eyes bore into hers, and in that moment, she felt an unexpected swell of courage. She knew she wanted this, not just for herself, but for every child who had felt unheard in her past. "I want to make this happen, and let us do it. Together." The cafe buzzed around them, life unfolding in every corner. As they clinked their coffee cups together, a promise hung between them, a powerful alliance preparing to challenge the status quo. Yet beneath the excitement lingered fear. What awaited them on this journey? Was she truly ready for the potential fallout or triumph? Emily's heart fluttered, both exhilarated and terrified, as she wondered just how deep they would have to dive to achieve their dreams. Would she find the strength inside her to lead? Or would she discover that the path to success held more chaos than clarity? Only time would reveal the truth. Emily stared out the cafe window, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The golden light cast silhouettes of people rushing home, each with their own aspirations, fears, and stories. But here she was, on the edge of something monumental. The promise of an initiative that could revitalize the importance of art education filled her with both hope and trepidation. Over the next few weeks, they dove headfirst into planning. Kensington was relentless, his enthusiasm infectious. He assembled a dynamic team, drawing from educators, artists, and even data analysts, each bringing a unique perspective. Emily found herself riding the waves of brainstorming sessions that sparkled with possibility. Ideas flowed like a river, sometimes wild and chaotic, but always fueled by a shared vision. As new strategies took shape, Emily struggled to reconcile her growing excitement with haunting whispers of doubt. She hid them well, masking her hesitation with smiles and laughter. But late at night, when silence filled her apartment, those fears loomed large. What if she wasn't tea-ready? What if her past mistakes caught up with her? One evening, while working late, she received an unexpected call from her mom. "Emily, honey, how is everything?" Her mother's voice was a blend of warmth and concern, the familiar comfort wrapping around her. "It's going really well, actually. We've made incredible progress," she replied, trying to infuse her voice with confidence. "Just make sure you're taking care of yourself, sweetie. It sounds like a big undertaking. Are you all right?" Emily hesitated. She wanted to pour her heart out, to tell her mom about the weight of expectation that pressed down on her. Instead, she swallowed the words and said, "I'm good, Mom. Just busy." "Busy is good," her mom said, laughter bubbling lightly on the other end. "Just don't lose yourself in it." As she hung up, Emily felt the familiar tug of guilt. It had sacrificed so much to give her a chance at a better life. Her heart ached with the wonder of how far she had come, yet she felt tethered to the fear of letting them down. Determined to shake off the shadows, she dove into her work with renewed vigor. One afternoon, as Kensington outlined the next phase of their project, targeting funding sources while emphasizing the emotional impact on students, Emily found a sudden surge of inspiration. Let's create a video series showing the real stories of kids affected by art education, she proposed. Show how it makes a difference in their lives, not just academically, but emotionally. That will resonate more with potential sponsors than just numbers alone. Kensington's eyes lit up. That's genius, Emily. We could incorporate testimonials from schools, highlight students' projects, share their journeys. It's storytelling at its core. Excited, they began crafting a plan. As they reached out to schools and gathered stories, Emily felt a shift within herself. This wasn't tea about her anymore. It was bigger. It was about giving a voice to others, amplifying experiences that were often overlooked. It felt empowering. Yet, amidst the growing momentum, critics dwelled at the back of her mind. Critics who whispered doubt, reminding her of her past, those voices creeping back as the project picked up steam. On a particularly poignant day, midway through shooting, one of the featured students, a girl named Mia, spoke with a voice laced with vulnerability about the impact art had saved her from slipping into despair. As Mia shared her struggle, tears welled in Emily's eyes. And suddenly, every ounce of doubt melted away. She realized the project wasn't tea, just numbers on a page. It was lives being transformed. "We're doing this for them," she said softly to Kensington after the shoot. "For every child who feels lost." "Absolutely," he affirmed, a radiant smile spreading across his face. "This is just the beginning." But just as the horizon brightened, unforeseen challenges lurked in the background. Rumors of funding cuts began to circulate. A storm was brewing, and Emily could feel it. Would their ambitious dreams survive? Or were they racing toward an unexpected disaster? Emily's heart raced as she considered the uncertainty ahead. Could they navigate the storm and make a lasting change? Or would their dreams fizzle out before they even took flight? The true test of their resilience awaited them. And with it, the pressing question, was she ready to fight for the future they envisioned? As the weeks went by, the project surged forward, gathering momentum like a runaway train. But with every step, Emily faced fierce resistance. Rumors about funding cuts seized the headlines, sowing seeds of doubt among the schools they were partnering with. Emily could feel the ground beneath her trembling, vulnerability creeping back in, whispering the same harsh words she had fought so hard to silence. Kensington, however, remained steadfast. He gathered the team around a table that seemed smaller with every passing day. Faces smarted from lack of sleep, eyes darkened with worry. Tension hung thick in the air. Yet his energy radiated, fueling Emily's resolve. "We won't let this derail us," he declared, voice booming. "We pivot, we adapt. This is when we prove the strength of our vision." But Emily was fraying. Her heart quickened with every question fired at her questions about budgets, timelines, outcomes, each one slicing through the hopes she had built. Was she truly strong enough to lead through this storm? One evening, after a long day, she collapsed on her bed, burying her face in her pillow. The weight of expectation pressed down mercilessly, and then a soft knock interrupted her self-pity. Emily? It was her mother, a gentle spirit breaking through her walls. Through glassy eyes, she waved her in. Maria sat on the edge of the bed, taking her daughter's hand in hers. "Talk to me, Emilia. What is weighing on your heart? I feel like I'm going to let everyone down, Mom. I thought I could make a difference, but every news report reminds me of the impossibility of it all." Her mother's eyes held an understanding that tethered Emily once again. "You are not alone in this. You've worked hard, and every effort counts. Remember the reason you started this. It's not about the prize or the glory, but the kids who need hope." Those simple words ignited a fire inside Emily. Her mother was right. This fight was not about her. It was about entire communities and the futures that could be rewritten through art. Fueled by a renewed purpose, she pulled out her notebook, drafting emails to local news stations, proposing a feature on their initiative, the struggles, successes, and the real stories from the kids. The next morning, with trembling hands but a heart full of hope, she sent out a press release, determined to invite others to share the narrative they were building. The response was immediate. The community rallied around them, parents, students, local artists, each adding their voice to the cause. One afternoon, at a community center, Emily stood in front of a diverse group gathered around her project's vision, hearts beating as one. "This isn't just my journey, this is all of us. Together, we can create something bigger, stronger than doubt." She felt standing between them. Inspired by their shared passion, she encouraged everyone to reach out to sponsors and local influencers, each story reinforcing their crusade. Months later, with the project gaining traction, Emily and Kensington stood side by side, watching a video debut that highlighted their efforts. The room was filled with tears and laughter as students described how the arts transformed their lives. Emily felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This was her family, her community, her dream playing out. When the video ended, the applause surged, shaking her to the core. Kensington leaned in, his voice steady and assuring. "This is proof, Emily. You've built hope from the ground up. This is only the beginning." But just as they soaked in the collective energy, Emily felt her phone buzz. An emergency meeting with stakeholders. Perched on the edge of her seat, nerves crackled like electricity. Did the funding hope dwindle in the air? Would this effort turn out to be another faltering dream? Later, seated at the meeting, tension stretched in every corner of the room. The leaders of the school districts were there, eyes filled with uncertainty. Emily's throat dried as the unfolding discussion mirrored her fears, but as doubts shifted to dire predictions, the raw authenticity of her vision surged to the surface. "Look," Emily started, heart pounding, "we've created something transformative. The students involved aren't just numbers, they're individuals tapping into their potential. We need to invest in them, not give up. We've already seen changes unfolding." Eyes darted, visible doubts scattered like fallen leaves underfoot. But Emily pressed on, sprinkling facts and heartfelt stories that resonated like music. Each mention of the kids brought them back to the core of the mission. Then came Kensington's voice like a pillar in a storm. "They need our support. When has giving up ever solved anything? Every great advancement requires persistence. The mood shifted, softened. By the end of the night, they had secured a critical vote from the districts, a commitment to continue funding for now. The storm had passed. With the celebrations echoing through the center, reality set in. This was just a step forward, but a vital one. Emily's spirits soared, invigorated by each story, challenge, and triumphant moment. She could redefine her path. As she stepped into the crisp night air, surrounded by friends, family, and the kids whose lives they touched, Emily felt the urge to give something back, a promise. I want to just stop here. I will keep fighting. In that moment, she realized the truth. Regardless of the fierce storms ahead, she had the power to inspire not only herself, but a wave of dreamers ready to rise against the tide. And so, with tears of joy glistening, she laughed into the night. The journey stretched endlessly before her, a road paved with dreams, resolve, and an indomitable light. This was not just the end. It was a start of vibrant, unstoppable beginning. Thus, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about Emily's incredible journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and believe in their dreams. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.